Next, we got the Baltimore Ravens. They come in with the number 1 ranked offense on the 3rd ranked defense. Let's unpack this. Let's start with you, Nye. Who you like? Who stands out?
I'm going to go on the defense side of the ball because, you can't really think of Baltimore and not think defense. But getting Patrick Queen in the draft and just throwing him in the middle of that defense, I think it's a home run. Like, they have a track record with linebackers and linebacker play. I think he's going to be all over the place. I think he's going to be a starter, in any IDP format from day one.
Who else you like on that defense, Kosher?
Man, Ian said it. I love the drafting of Patrick Queen. They've got a great track record with defense and specifically with the linebackers. It's hard to argue with that.
We talked a little bit about undersized cornerbacks. The Ravens don't have that problem.
All through that secondary, you got Marlon Humphreys, another guy who's all over the place.
To the point on the defensive backs too, they got another defensive back out there though who might be turnover dependent, but he gets those turnovers. He's got only 1 season outside of the top 12 for defensive backs, and maybe I'm just scared of him because of what he did to me last season. Marcus Peters out there, I wouldn't shy away from him at the right price.
I agree with that. But I think more often than not, you can really kind of depend on Marcus Peters to get you that turnover. A little understated, how does the addition of Calais Campbell impact just how the defense is ran? The pressure they're going to be able to get on teams now is going to be ridiculous. And I only see Marcus Peters taking more chances now.
I'm pretty sold on Marcus Peters.
I think another guy who might fly under the radar, who you might see pop up, is another rookie they drafted out of Ohio State, Malik Harrison. Really rangy guy, super athletic. I think he's going to be asked to do something different than he was in Jacksonville. So
Malik Harrison absolutely is a sleeper. But I think it can be easy to get carried away with first round versus third round players. A third rounder is still a player who can come in and make an impact, and I'm looking at him as a sleeper as well.
My sleeper for them is a different Buckeye, and that's J.K. Dobbins.
Perfect opportunity to segue to the offensive side of the ball. Besides the obvious, Lamar Jackson. I wanted to kind of start with that running back group because there's a lot of cooks in that kitchen.
Dobbins is Mark Ingram's replacement going forward. I think each one of these running backs has a clear role. I have stake in Justice Hill, so I'm hoping Justin Hill carves out a role. But I'm not super optimistic about, any kind of running back. I know everybody's hyped up about J.K. Dobbins, but honestly, there are a lot of mouths to feed.
And I just looked at Ingram's contract. He's done his contract runs out in 2021. And it's kind of weird to say after last season, but he might be a cut candidate in 2021. He's got a small dead cap hit. His contract was front loaded. It's backloaded with a cap hit, but the dead cap is at its lowest, only about $1 million. So if J.K. Dobbins does enough to take up that role, if Justice Hill fills in that background role, don't be surprised if Mark Ingram isn't a Raven 2021.
You're talking about a guy that had over 200 touches last year. Lamar Jackson, man, can he be stopped?
I've always got that worry of what if that leg plants wrong? What if he gets hit just awkwardly, right?
If he's healthy, plug and play.
I think you worry if those rushing yards come down a little bit. Now that they've shown everybody he can run, it kind of opens up a few different things they can do now. Everybody knows he can get it done with the tight ends and the running game. I think the natural progression for this offense is to now incorporate the wide receivers and to see if, you can make that offense well-rounded enough to where, it's not just, hey, cover Mark Andrews and stack the box.
They got to find a way to incorporate Hollywood Brown better than they did last season.
71 touches for Marquise Brown last year. A little over 550 yards. His yards per catch was at 12.7. And then you have Mark Andrews, who had about 98 touches, 84 receptions, 852 yards, 10 touchdowns.
A quick point about Marquise Brown. I think he's going to produce, but you look at the rest of the wide receivers, you look at depth as Mark Andrews as a tight end. Marquise Brown, like I said earlier this offseason, I still think he's going to be way overdrafted. If he's going in the 6th round right now, I think I let him drop.
Is this a smokescreen?
Definitely.
Remember, too, that Baltimore loses 2 of their top receivers. They lost Hayden Hurst. He was their 3rd leading receiver last year. And they lost Seth Roberts to Carolina.
I think they're going to introduce a new wrinkle in this offense. Last year they went really tight end heavy, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Duvernay out there along with Hollywood Brown and Miles Boykin. They just go total spread. Just out of curiosity, how many times did Lamar Jackson throw the ball last year?
Last year he threw 401 times.
Yeah, I don't see them throwing the ball enough for Brown to be a 10-target guy. They may run the ball all the way down there, but they might want to flex on you and throw it to Mark Andrews for a touchdown.
Which they did often, 10 times last year, to be exact.
Hollywood Brown's coming off a bit of minor procedure, but a little foot surgery to get some screws out of his foot. He dealt with the hamstring last year. I don't know. He was boom or bust before the injuries.
I don't think they have many fantasy targets you need to have. I think if you don't have Lamar Jackson or Mark Andrews, you're kind of meh. I'd like to see a little more Trace McSorley this year.
Mitch Trubisky or Lamar Jackson?
Man, are we talking about Mitch Trubisky or are we talking about Nick Foles?